And finally, ideological hatred. This may take a bit as it is complex, but it is very prevalent and real. The ideological hatred of men comes from the growing trend among predominantly Westerners to derive all their purpose, value, and meaning in life from traits they were born with, instead of the work, accomplishments, and value they provide society. So instead of valuing yourself based on the fact you're a good accountant, surgeon, mother, or truck driver, and are therefore a contributing member of society, you value yourself on the traits your parents or nature gave you, such as your race, gender, mental illness, or sex. And many women today value themselves solely on the fact they are merely female. Unfortunately, there's nothing inherently good or valuable about being female. So when people make the decision to derive all their life's value from a trait they were born with, they usually offer society nothing valuable in return and are consequently poor as a result. And not just financially poor, but socially, philosophically, and mentally poor, as nobody else has a reason to counter-invest in people who offer nothing but mere traits. But whereas you'd like to think these people could be reasoned out of this insanity so they can have a better life, it's critical to understand what drove these people to have a trait-based value system in the first place: fear. Specifically, the fear of having to work for a living. And this isn't just a normal distaste for labor that you, me, and every other human has. It's a crippling fear. It is the single most powerful force in their lives that no other force, incentive, or reasoning can overcome. They are deathly afraid, above everything else, of work. And sadly, this fear rules and ultimately ruins their lives. While reductionist, you can see to just what lengths some people will go to avoid work. Homeless people living in tents during a negative 10-degree winter. Impoverished minorities living generation after generation in dangerous government-financed squalor. People convincing themselves they have a mental disorder, even going so far as to take psychotropic drugs just to have an identity and collect a disability check. Teenagers desperate to be popular, so they claim to be gay, bi, or trans. And some will go so far as to sleep with a sex they aren't attracted to, or even have gender reassignment surgery when they are in fact straight. These people will do anything and everything to avoid the real work that would give their lives value. Since this fear cannot be overcome, there are two consequences, especially as it pertains to traitist women and their societal view of men. First, nothing is their fault. It's not the woman's fault who majored in women's studies or sociology that she's unemployable. It's sexism. It's not the woman's fault she's poor, living on welfare with her 5 babies from 5 baby daddies. It's the patriarchy. And it's not the woman's fault she's 300 pounds and can't find a man. It's a fat-phobic society. Because if she admitted it was her fault, that would be admitting responsibility, which would then demand work on her part to remedy or improve the situation. A solution her all-powerful fear of work will simply not allow. Second, since nothing is their fault, all failures and disappointment in their lives must be men's fault, because there's only one other sex to blame. And consequently, men and society owe them, be it reparations, preferential treatment, a welfare state, WIC, student loan bailouts, affirmative action, lower standards, quotas, UBI, etc., etc. Men must pay a price, either literally through taxation or by being made second-class citizens to women. You can call this parasitism, slavery, misandry, cowardice, even evil. But there's already a term for this delusional hatred of men: modern-day feminism. And this is not to disparage feminism, but to accurately describe it. Modern-day feminism is simply anti-male. Feminists blame men for all their problems. Feminists accuse men of a whole host of sins, such as sexism, harassment, patriarchy, and privilege, which most men didn't commit. Feminists demand men pay them reparations through higher taxes, government welfare, make-work government jobs, preferential hiring, preferential promotions, and lower standards. Worse, some even derive their entire life's value from hating men by fabricating them as an enemy to launch a lifelong crusade or war against. But at the end of the day, feminists just want a society that treats men as second-class citizens and women as superiors because they're too damn lazy to work. Sadly, this mentally warped religion of hate is forced on nearly every young woman via the schools, colleges, media, and government. To what scope and degree women believe this propaganda is up for debate, but feminism has no doubt had an obvious effect on how women view men in today's society. Be it shaming women for wanting to be stay-at-home wives, falsely accusing men of institutional sexism, discriminating against men in the labor force, or convincing every woman she's a victim and men are the oppressor, it's a guarantee every man alive today has faced some manifestation of this poisonous hatred in their lives.